let's see what we've come up with then. So, for Tom, what ethical boundaries could he have had in place which might have stopped that situation descending into, okay, we'll start the line again, even though it's unsafe? Any come on front row here, please, Emma? Lovely stuff.
I will not put a colleague in danger.
I will not put a colleague in danger. Under any circumstances, that is something that I commit to do. Any other thoughts? I will not. Yeah, two on the front row, on the back, and then we'll come down to you at the front. Go ahead.
Sorry, I will not, with any management, will get their back up. Shouldn't there be another kind of terminology like, would you put an employee in danger?
Well, you could do that, but these are about commitments, okay? These are about a leader, a supervisor, standing before their team and saying, listen, folks, this is the way I'm going to lead health and safety. I will not put any of you in danger. I won't do that. And if I do, tell me. If I do, or if I suggest something that leads to that, then actually flag it up for me, because I don't want to cross that line. But I understand what you're saying. Does that make sense? Yeah, okay, great. Couple down the front here then, Emma. Lovely. I will not. So they could be I wills, I suppose, as well.
I will not be bullied.
This. Say again?
I will not be bullied.
I will not be bullied. And you could extend that a bit, I suppose, into I will not be bullied into making the wrong decisions that put people in danger, maybe. Something like that. One here, Emma. Lovely stuff.
Yeah, Thomas asked a question, what would you say to the customer? And I think he should have said, I will not put profits and product before people. And people, I would extend that to the customer and their employees as well.
Yeah.
And make it more people-centric in that basis.
Yeah. So I will not put productivity or profits ahead of the safety of people. And of course, again, you know, you hear that all the time in organizations, but it's about someone like this displaying the behaviors that make that a reality. And giving his team permission to say, if you ever think I am, tell me, stop me, because it's not something that I want to happen. Help me with it. Any others? I will not. Any others ethical boundaries that Tom could have had there? Yeah, behind you, Emma.
Slightly different example. I would say that I will not allow other people to put my children into a place where I wouldn't put them.
Okay, so, you know, again, making it people-centric, thinking about families, thinking about people's life outside of work, that kind of thing. Yeah. Go on.
I think that ethical boundaries change, and you need some kind of own reasoning or own parameters how to evaluate your values. I see that measuring against your own children in the risk is a good way.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. I often talk about that. I say, you know, would you want your children to work in this environment? Would you put your son or daughter into this situation? Would you be happy with that? If you're not, why would you do it with somebody else's? Why would you ask someone else's son or daughter to go ahead with that? You know, I will not ask you to do anything I wouldn't ask my son or daughter to do. You know, that could be one. Plays on all those kind of angles. But if we don't have those ethical boundaries, then actually sometimes the pressures of work mean that our values come under scrutiny. If we do have ethical boundaries, and we don't just keep them to ourselves, we're clear on them, we share them with our teams, then everybody knows the expectations from the start. There's no place to hide. You can't just say it to yourself and go, I know I said that ethical boundary to myself and I've got it written on the mirror at home, but no one else knows it, so I'll ignore it today and put someone in harm's way. If you have them, if everyone knows about them, the standards are there, everyone knows what's expected, everyone knows what's required, and if you're ever in danger of crossing those lines in the sand, people can flag it up and say, hang on a minute, you said you'd do this. You said you wouldn't do that. If your leaders had those kind of ethical boundaries and people knew about them, do you think health and safety cultures would be better? Would they be improved? Would you have a safer working environment, do you think? What do you reckon? Stick your hand up if you think you would. It's always a dangerous moment. Stick your hand up if you think you wouldn't, if it just wouldn't make any difference. Well, the majority there kind of say, I find that's the case. But lots of people never think about it. But if you don't have those kind of ethical boundaries, then again, the leadership isn't authentic. If you do have the ethical boundaries and it's values driven, then that creates integrity. That means that people trust the leadership and trust what they're trying to do.
Hello again. I am sorry about earlier on. The thing is, though, is the Helen was right. Bill's accident, well, I was partly to blame. I should have said something. Now, I was speaking earlier on about leadership, and I could continue with the presentation, but I would rather speak about my leadership from this point on. You see, I think what it all boils down to is integrity. Knowing your values and sticking to them. So that is what I am going to do from now on. I will never put you in an unsafe position again. I will never force you to work unsafely or put pressure on you so that you have no choice but to work unsafely. Now, these aren't just words. This is my ethical boundary, and I will not go past it no matter what the circumstances are. And that is my leadership commitment to you. Thank you.
Hang on. Oh, I'm pressing the wrong button. Hey, there we go. So, quick summary of the session, okay? And we're 2 minutes to go, so that's good timing. You know, to be effective, leaders must possess integrity. You think about it. You know, leadership is about influencing, it's about getting people to follow. If leaders don't have integrity, if people don't trust them, well, you wouldn't follow someone you didn't trust, would you? You wouldn't go along with them just because they're your boss. So leaders, good leaders, have to possess integrity. It's not enough to simply say the right things, have a fancy slogan, have a strap line or some nice marketing and create a health and safety brand. All that stuff's great, but it's about backing up our words with actions. Leaders have to be values driven to be effective in my book, and they've got to honor those company slogans, that company ethos with their action. Again, if we say one thing and do another, that reduces integrity and reduces trust once more. And finally, having those clear ethical boundaries helps leaders to make the right decisions. They can stress test their decision making against those ethical boundaries. If I do this, will it cross my ethical boundary? If I make that decision, is that going to mean that I'm doing something other than what I say I would do? And look, you know, this isn't the whole picture by any means. There's a lot more to leadership in an organization than just what we've talked about here. But hopefully this gives you a flavor of the kind of stuff we like to look at and the kind of stuff that we think is important. As you go away from here, Kellen's character did mention something at the beginning in terms of a model for health and safety, policies and processes, training and equipment, safe behaviors and leadership. That's our four-square health and safety model. And it's absolutely critical that an organization focuses on those four areas. And as somebody said at the beginning, you know, most organizations are pretty good at these bottom two because they're mandatory, they're traceable, they're auditable. If you have an accident, the HSE is going to be sniffing around looking at all these kind of things. What organizations find less easy or focus on to less extent is safe behaviors and this critical area of leadership. But reality is, unless you focus on all four of them, then actually you won't achieve world-class safety. And no need to take a photo, because I've got a copy of it here for you if you want to take it away. And just before we go, what this does, by the way, is a really good way to sort of audit your health and safety culture. You can see next to each criteria in these boxes, in these categories rather, there's a traffic light system. So go through each one in turn, have a conversation about it with someone, other people back in the workplace, and assess whether you think you're failing, whether you think you're doing okay, or green, you're probably world class already. Most organizations I find are in that category. If you want one of those, come and get them at the front as you leave the session here today. Come and see us on our stand, which is, better say this, otherwise my marketing manager will kill me, R2160. It's over that way on the right somewhere, okay? Please give our actors one last round of applause. Thank you, guys.